President Trump is continuing to call on the Senate to pass a major prison reform bill, tweeting earlier today that leaders Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer, quote, have a real chance to do something so badly needed in our country, already passed with big vote in House, would be a major victory for all. The First Step Act, which would do things like shorten mandatory minimum sentence for some drug convictions, has the endorsement of the president and many in the GOP, but is also facing Republican opposition from senators like Tom Cotton from Arkansas. Joining us for reaction is core national spokesman Niger Innis and Republican strategist Noel Nickper. All right, Nigel, talk to me. Why is this first step important to get passed?
Well, it's important that they get some type of legislation, criminal justice reform passed before Queen Nancy and chair of people like Mad Maxine Waters and Castro's granddaughter, Ocasio-Cortez, come to town with a Democrat majority. I mean, you have an extraordinary coalition, multi-ideological, folk from as far to the right as the Christian Coalition and small government libertarian conservative and Republicans, but you also have, of course, the usual suspects within the ACLU liberal crowd that have come together in this coalition. And so I think the time is now. It's already passed the House of Representatives. It's in the Senate. Now's the time to get it done, because should they have to revisit this when Nancy Pelosi is wielding the gavel, then it's going to be a much worse bill than what it is right now.
Okay. All right. So, Noel, what Niger is saying is that, I think on the one hand, it's great if they could work together. I mean, it's a positive thing. But on the other hand, he's saying it could get even more and more liberal, and that would cause them to not agree on anything.
Well, yeah, and that's not what Trump was trying to do by putting this together, by letting it go far, far left. I mean, this is about second chances. And I think for Trump is the winner no matter what happens, because this is our president trying to show unity from the right and from the left, to ask Schumer and McConnell to work together. This is what the country really needs. And it's really great when you see a president try to make both sides work together on it. Now, if they do not, if they end up not working together, like what Niger said, if it ends up, getting lost in the wash and going way left, then that's a real shame. But you know whose fault it is? It's the bipartisanship brand fault. It is not President Trump's fault. And you know what, Niger, it is also a sad, I mean, for those people who would benefit from it. Look, nobody, believes in prosecution and criminals and sentencing, more than I do. But right. I also understand that this effort to reform this bill, that Jared Kushner has worked so hard on, has brought so many from the left and the right together, is something that can help people who have a stigma when they get out of jail, who don't have the ability to get out there and even get a job, who at some point feel, I can't get a job. This will help them.
That is the key, what you just said, Janine. This is about reintegration. What happens to these individuals when they've served their time and they get reintegrated into these communities? Do they go back into pursuing that old life of crime, or do they become productive citizens of our society? And I think the goal here is laudable, and what they're trying to do with job training programs, with incentives for good behavior while behind bars, that these are attempts to start the integration or reintegration process while they're still in prison. The goals are laudable. Having said that, Senator Tom Cotton and some other conservative Republicans have raised some legitimate questions and concerns that should be debated. So there's no reason that Mitch McConnell should not bring this to the floor and let Tom Cotton and others that may have reservations offer amendments, debate the issue, but get this thing done before January.
You wouldn't think the chances are of that, Noel?
Well, I think the chances are pretty good for that, because I think that people are going to want to honor his wishes.
All right. We'll be right back. Thanks to both of you.
President Trump urging the Senate to come together to pass a major prison reform bill, tweeting this, and I quote, "Really good criminal justice reform has a true shot at major bipartisan support. Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer have a real chance to do something so badly needed in our country. Already passed with a big vote in the House, would be a major victory for all. So can Democrats and Republicans actually get this done? We're going to ask Niger Innis of the Congress for Racial Equality. Niger, thanks for being here this morning. So a big priority of this White House, it has not passed the Senate. Will it pass, and what are the impediments at this point?
Well, the impediments are you've got a group of conservatives within the Republican caucus led by, I would say, a variety.
Tom Cotton is one of them.
Ted Cruz, yep. Tom Cotton is one of them as well. And they have serious objections to the Senate bill. But pragmatically speaking, they think it's too liberal, if you will. It's a little bit too much ACLU that is a part of the coalition pushing for criminal justice reform. But pragmatically speaking, I mean, look, I'm a law and order Republican too. But pragmatically speaking, the House version that passed is a lot more conservative. It's a lot more to their liking. The Senate bill is a little, veers a little bit more to the left.
Yep.
But the practicality is, if they don't pass criminal justice reform now and have some type of compromise bills, that's something in between the House version and the Senate bill, then you're going to have a situation where instead of this conservative criminal justice reform bill that was passed by the House, you're now going to have to negotiate with Nancy Pelosi, the likes of Maxine Waters, all inspired and having fires lit to their butt by folk like Alexandria Castro-Cortez.
So you're saying you got your best chance in conference where the two bills meet with a more conservative House bill. Let's talk a bit about the Senate bill, though. Here, the First Step Act is what it's called. Here's what it would do. Eliminate so-called stacking regulation. Judges can reduce mandatory minimums for nonviolent drug offenders, change the 3 strikes you're out penalty from life in prison to 25 years. So for conservatives in the Senate, what is it about the Senate bill that is not to their liking?
Well, Cotton and Senator Mike Lee out of Utah, had a very interesting, very vigorous exchange. You could call it a Twitter battle, if you will, that National Review covered. And Tom Cotton's concerns are that, when they label folk non-violent offenders, it includes individuals, according to Cotton, that actually committed acts of violence against police officers, including using violent weapons. There are a variety of concerns, but what I say to Senator Cotton, to Senator Cruz, that have, these are good men, principled men that have legitimate concerns. Let Mitch McConnell bring it to the floor. Let's have a vigorous debate about it. If Cotton sees something wrong with the Senate version, ask for some amendments, put some amendments on there, but now is the time to get this done because, God forbid, the Senate has to negotiate with the House. I mean, right now, you've got a situation where if the Senate passes something, you can have a reasonably conservative criminal justice reform bill. If the far left-wing House comes in January, then you're talking about taking a Senate
far left House
measure.
Wants open borders and all that other, I mean, not that that's related, but their mindset is totally different. So this all comes down to Mitch McConnell, though, right? I mean, is Mitch McConnell going to bring this forward?
I hope so. You have the most extraordinary coalition of conservatives and liberals. You've got liberal groups like the ACLU that are in favor of it, but you also have the Fraternal Order of Police, the largest police union in the country. You've got Christian conservatives. This is an extraordinary coalition. You've had Christian conservatives that are promoting criminal justice reform, along with small government libertarians that are promoting this. So you haven't had this type of coalition, bipartisan, multi-ideological, since the civil rights movement of the 1960s. So I think with that kind of pressure, and the Christian conservative, led by Ralph Reed, are doing an active campaign, particularly going after Cotton and Senator Cruz to try to persuade them to at least push Mitch McConnell to get it on the floor.
And, of course, it was something Barack Obama not able to do in his time in office as well. Niger, thank you very much for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Pete.
All right.
Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America.